What's up guys? Welcome to part 4 of What If I Reincarnated as Yamamoto Genryusai in Naruto and saved the Uzumaki clan. Konoha's conspiracy has been uncovered. What will they do now? Will Kagitsuchi annihilate Konoha? The story is getting more interesting. For more of my videos, please for me, give this one a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share with your friends. I'm the Sensei signing in.
Never tell a fact that I never stay running. Sipping on facts, damn, no, I got stacks to the left, taking bitches straight for another cat.
At the same time in Kumogaka, Reikage office. Bang, the sound of a table breaking filled the room. Damn it. How can someone that powerful still be alive in Uzumaki country? What the hell is Anbu doing? Can't they even find out that such a strong individual is still alive within the Uzumaki family? Reikage exclaimed, I can't let this go. Send a message to Inoki and Third Mizukas that we will attack Uzumaki country again. But this time, we will all join in and take down that bastard ourselves. We will avenge the deaths of our village's ninjas, Reikage said in an enraged tone. Even for him, losing so many skilled ninjas at once caused him to become furious. Observing all of this, Mabuki let out a sigh. Master Reikage, you can't be impulsive on this matter. After hearing the description of the ninja who survived, we know that even after defeating an entire army of 4,500 ninjas, he didn't look tired at all. This clearly shows that he still had plenty of energy to spare, Mabuki cautioned. So, what? I'm just supposed to sit and watch? Asked Reikage. Yes. In the end, the surviving ninja told us that Uzumaki Kagitsuchi said to Tsukumo that he will visit Konoha himself. So let's observe Konoha's reaction to this matter and proceed accordingly. As far as I know, even Konoha wants to get rid of the Uzumaki family, said Mabuki. You're correct. But still, tell everyone to be prepared for battle, said Reikage. Just like Reikage, Inoki and Third Mizukas were also frustrated upon hearing the news of the deaths of so many ninjas from their village. But they were helpless, and could only wait for the reactions of Third Reikage and Konoha after Kagitsuchi's visit. Thus, the entire ninja world remained silent for a day and a night. As the first rays of sunlight shone upon the gate of Uzumaki village, Uzumaki Kagitsuchi stood outside with Mitsuo and the elders. Uncle, why don't you take these elite jonins with you? They may prove to be helpful, suggested Mitsuo. I appreciate your concern, Mitsuo, but I don't require assistance. I will be visiting Konoha alone, added Kagitsuchi. Mitsuo let out a sigh after hearing Kagitsuchi's words. His uncle was right. These ninjas would only hold him back. No need to worry. I will return to the Uzumaki family by tomorrow, reassured Kagitsuchi. After that, he left using Shumpo, moving at an incredible speed towards Konoha. After traveling for hours, crossing forests, rivers, and mountains, Kagitsuchi stumbled upon a caravan being attacked by a group of ruthless bandits. The caravan comprised merchants and traders who were on their way to Konoha to sell their goods in the market. The bandits had already looted the caravan, leaving the travelers stranded and wounded. Without a single flicker of hesitation, Kagitsuchi made a swift motion with his hand, causing every bandit to be engulfed in flames, their screams filling the air. The merchants and traders, who had been held hostage by the ruthless bandits, were relieved and thankful for Kagitsuchi's intervention. However, Kagitsuchi humbly refused to accept any monetary reward or compensation, citing that it was his responsibility as a ninja to safeguard the lives of those who were unable to defend themselves. After ensuring the safety of the caravan, Kagitsuchi continued on his journey toward Konoha. As he walked, he couldn't help but think about the grateful faces of the travelers he had helped. After traveling for hours, Kagitsuchi finally arrived at the gates of Konoha. As Kagitsuchi approached the gate of Konoha village, he noticed two guards from the Uchiha family standing watch. They eyed the old man with a crutch in his hand cautiously. As the old man approached the gate of Konoha village, one of the guards, Uchiha Taiko, squinted his eyes and whispered to his fellow guard, Hey, don't you think I've seen this old man somewhere before? Uchiha Taiko smacked the back of Uchiha Taiko's head and reprimanded him. Don't be an idiot. We were given a portrait of an old man to be on the lookout for, and were instructed to report any sightings to the higher-ups. Indeed, you are correct, Uchiha Taiko suddenly realized, feeling embarrassed. I completely forgot about it, he admitted. Please wait here. I will inform the higher-ups about this, Uchiha Taiko said before quickly running off to carry out the task. A/N. Just some funny rhyming words as names. Uzumaki Kagitsuchi observed the other ninja leaving without interjecting or responding. In a quivering tone, Uchiha Taiko requested, please halt. You must, at the very least, state your name before proceeding. I am Uzumaki Kagitsuchi, replied Kagitsuchi. without even glancing at the Uchiha ninja. As he moved forward, his Kagura heart eye allowed him to sense individuals with significant chakra and vitality. He suddenly sensed a huge amount of chakra in Konoha. Only Uzumaki Mito possessed such an amount of chakra. Upon receiving news of Uzumaki Kagitsuchi's arrival, Sarutobi Hiruzen hastily proceeded to meet with him. Sarutobi Hiruzen greeted Uzumaki Kagitsuchi with a warm welcome as he gazed upon him. "Welcome to Konoha village," he said. "Is that so? However, I sense that Konoha is preparing for combat." Upon receiving news of my arrival, remarked Uzumaki Kagitsuchi with a composed expression. Sarutobi Hiruzen was taken aback, and felt embarrassed upon hearing Kagitsuchi's words, but he managed to maintain a neutral expression. Sarutobi Hiruzen extended an invitation to Uzumaki Kagitsuchi to accompany him to his office for a conversation. "Would you be so kind as to join me for a discussion in my office?" he asked politely, hoping to alleviate any tensions or misunderstandings that might have arisen. "There is no need for that, as I came here primarily to meet my niece. Once that is done, we can discuss official matters. Furthermore, I believe that the most powerful individual in Konoha should be my niece, Uzumaki Mito," Uzumaki Kagitsuchi stated. Upon hearing Kagitsuchi's statement, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression grew tense, but he persisted. "I urge you to still accompany me to my office. I have already sent a ninja to inform Mito-sama," he replied, this time emitting his powerful cage-level chakra as a show of his authority. "I did not ask for your invitation," Kagitsuchi retorted as he unleashed his full Ryatsu, causing pressure that not only affected Sarutobi Hiruzen, but also every ninja in the vicinity. "Stand aside," Kagitsuchi commanded with authority. Without even realizing it, Sarutobi Hiruzen stepped aside from Uzumaki Kagitsuchi's path, allowing him to move forward in the direction of Mito. At the gate of the Senju family's compound, there stood a stunning blonde-haired girl whom Kagitsuchi had finally reached. Tsunade inquired, "Are you Grandma Mito's uncle?" Towards Tsunade, Kagitsuchi nodded. Tsunade's tone carried a hint of displeasure as she spoke, "Please come along with me." They began making their way to the largest house within the Senju family's compound. "Do you have an opinion about me?" inquired Kagitsuchi. Tsunade's response was delivered with an air of annoyance, as she retorted, "HMPH. You've killed many ninjas from our village, so surely you can't blame me for having an opinion about you, can you?" Kagitsuchi chose not to say anything more, as conversing with someone who held unwavering beliefs would be futile. Upon arriving inside the room, they were greeted by the sight of Uzumaki Mito, a woman with a red hexagonal marking between her eyebrows. With a bow, Mito greeted Kagitsuchi and said, "Welcome, uncle." Seated at the main seat in the room, Uzumaki Kagitsuchi spoke up and said, "I don't believe there is any need for you to do this, as you have already renounced any allegiance to the Uzumaki family. Am I correct?" Several elders from the Senju clan were also present in the room, and while they may have wanted to refute Kagitsuchi's comment about their current patriarch, Mito intervened and prevented them from doing so. "I apologize, uncle, but surely you must understand that as the Jinchuriki of Konoha village, I cannot simply depart from the village at will," explained Mito. "Mito, there's no need for explanations. I understand that you are prioritizing your village over your family, and that you do not wish to drag Konoha into the vortex of war. You have made your choice," said Kagitsuchi, his voice echoing throughout the Senju family compound. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had just entered the room with several important figures from Konoha, overheard Kagitsuchi's words. "As the eldest and most authoritative member of the Uzumaki family, I hereby declare that you, Uzumaki Mito, will be expelled from our family, effective immediately," Kagitsuchi proclaimed. Uzumaki Mito tightly clenched her fist, but she didn't utter a single word, accepting her punishment in silence. "How could you do this to Grandma? I won't let this go unpunished, I'll fight you," Senju Tsunade exclaimed, preparing to attack. However, just as she was about to move, a golden chain wrapped around her, effectively sealing her chakra and preventing her from moving. Without a word, Mito made a move. "I apologize, uncle. She's just a child. Please forgive her for her rudeness," said Mito in a conciliatory tone. Just as Mito finished speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, along with several others, entered the room. "By the way, I wanted to ask you, are these the only members of the Senju family present here, or are there others stationed elsewhere?" inquired Uzumaki Kagitsuchi. "No, these are the only people who remain in the Senju family," replied Mito. "Correct me if I'm wrong, but if my memory serves me correctly, an elder from the Senju clan wanted to get rid of me, because I cut off his son's hand. He sent a team of elite ninjas after me, and I killed them all, but their numbers were far greater than the people present here in the Senju clan. This is laughable," remarked Uzumaki Kagitsuchi. Uzumaki Kagitsuchi continued, "Furthermore, how could you allow clans like Sarutobi and Shimura to ride on your coattails and become your leaders? In the Warring States period, they were like dogs that we trained to fight for us." Upon hearing Kagitsuchi's words, the expressions on everyone's faces changed. However, Mito was not shocked by the remarks, as she knew that during the Warring States period, large clans like theirs only trained low-level clans, and used them as mere cannon fodder during battles. Danzo's face contorted with rage, and he gave Kagitsuchi a menacing stare, as if he was ready to pounce on him. Kagitsuchi noticed the anger on Danzo's face, and vanished into thin air, only to reappear directly in front of Danzo, causing the room to shake with the force of his sudden movement. Kagitsuchi then grabbed Danzo by the neck, lifting him off the ground with ease. Kagitsuchi's expression turned dark as he spoke. "How dare you look at me like that? A weakling like you must value your hand very much. For using ninjutsu as a punishment for your impudence, I will take your hand." After saying that, Kagitsuchi held the right hand of Danzo and burned his right hand. Danzo let out a miserable cry that echoed throughout the Senju family compound. Kagitsuchi appeared back in the main seat in the room. Everyone in the room remained still and silent, their minds processing the events that just unfolded. Sarutobi Hiruzen was particularly taken aback, his thoughts racing as he observed the lightning-fast movements of Kagitsuchi. The concept of space ninjutsu flashed through his mind, but he had no way to confirm it. The atmosphere in the room was tense, with an eerie silence that lingered as everyone tried to make sense of what had just occurred. After regaining his composure, Sarutobi Hiruzen approached Danzo and inquired, "How are you feeling?" Through gritted teeth, Danzo replied, "I'm fine." Sarutobi Hiruzen directed his attention towards Kagitsuchi and asked if his current course of action would lead to the rupture of the alliance between their two ninja villages. Kagitsuchi retorted, "The alliance between our villages was broken the moment Konoha abandoned my Uzumaki village. Don't act as if you care about breaking the alliance now. Furthermore, I am not here to receive compensation from you, but to take back the gift given to Konoha as a sign of alliance by the Uzumaki family." Kaharu Yuditane inquired, "What specifically are you referring to?" "Sensing barrier," said Kagitsuchi. Everyone present was taken aback upon hearing this revelation. However, if the barrier surrounding Konoha was truly removed, it would make it easier for other ninja villages to infiltrate Konoha, which was not in the best interest of the village. Although Konoha could create a new barrier, the quality may not match the current one, and the process of creating a new barrier was time-consuming, and could take up to 2 to 3 months to complete. Mito finally spoke up, "Uncle, I apologize, but I cannot allow you to proceed with this." Kagitsuchi responded, "I didn't ask for your permission. This is my sole purpose for being here." Mito replied with determination, "Even if I have to use force, I will not let you pass." She readied herself for any action that might be necessary. With Mito's words echoing in his mind, Kagitsuchi discreetly instructed the system to activate Yamamoto's 60% template card. As he spoke, an immense rush of Ryatsu coursed through his being, and he sensed that he could unleash Raijin Jaka's Shikai with ease. In a mere fraction of a second, the events transpired, leaving everyone oblivious to Kagitsuchi's actions and their outcome. The mystery of what had occurred with Kagitsuchi lingered, shrouded in secrecy. As Kagitsuchi rose from his seat, he cast a calm gaze over the assembled crowd. With a subtle release of his immense Ryatsu, the atmosphere in the room changed in an instant. Unlike anything Sarutobi Hiruzen had felt before, the pressure was overpowering, leaving even the cage-level individuals in attendance struggling to maintain their composure. Weaker civilian jonins buckled under the weight of the force and were forced to kneel. The oppressive power emanating from Kagitsuchi's body enveloped the entire room, rendering all present immobile. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen, a seasoned veteran of such displays, felt as though an immense weight was bearing down on his shoulders, halting his movements. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the force continued to emanate from Kagitsuchi, leaving everyone present struggling to keep their wits about them. As Kagitsuchi's overwhelming Ryatsu filled the room, Mito too unleashed her vast chakra in an attempt to counteract the pressure. However, to her surprise, her efforts were in vain. It was then that she realized that the pressure wasn't physical, it was attacking their very souls. Despite her immense power, Mito was unable to offset the force of Kagitsuchi's assault on their souls. It was a realization that sent a shiver down her spine, as she had never experienced anything like this before. The pressure weighed heavily on her soul, leaving her feeling powerless and vulnerable. As the pressure continued to bear down on the souls of those present, Mito realized that this was a level of power beyond anything she had ever encountered. It was a humbling experience, and one that left her with a newfound respect for Kagitsuchi's abilities. "It's quite regretful." Kagitsuchi expressed his deep regret, conveying his remorse in a solemn tone. He then reached for his crutch using his left hand. As he picked it up, a sudden burst of flames seemed to engulf the crutch, transforming it into Raijin Jaka with a purple handle. Kagitsuchi firmly gripped the handle of the sword, unsheathed the blade, and plunged it into the ground. Next, he lifted both his hands, causing his white shirt to flutter away, and removed his black kozode, revealing his scarred bare upper body that bore testimony to his many battles. The intense heat emanating from the fiery aura surrounding him was palpable to all who were present. Kagitsuchi then casually wielded Raijin Jaka with his right hand, unleashing a massive wave of flames that surged toward everyone in the vicinity. As Sarutobi Hiruzen witnessed the colossal wave of fire, he was filled with a sense of dread, acutely aware that if it were to make contact with his body, he would perish in an instant. Without a moment's hesitation, he swiftly formed a hand seal, creating a shadow clone of himself, which immediately sprang into action. The shadow clone deftly began executing a complex sealing, quickly followed by unleashing a powerful A-rank water ninjutsu to counter the raging inferno. Water release, exploding water colliding wave, and his real body behind the shadow clone also made seals to create earth release. Earth-style wall. Several other skilled ninjas, well versed in the art of water ninjutsu, promptly sprang into action. Each of them utilized their unique water-based techniques, which collectively resulted in a brief but crucial interruption in the progression of the searing flames. This timely intervention created a crucial window of opportunity for all those present to swiftly make their escape from the fiery inferno. Mito issued a command, her voice ringing out with a sense of urgency. "Monkey, I need you to take charge and evacuate all of them from this location. Ensure the safety of the civilians by escorting them to a secure location." "I have already given orders to evacuate the civilians the moment he infiltrated Konoha," stated Saratobi Hiruzen in a firm and resolute tone, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. "Excellent. All of you need to leave this area immediately. It is not safe for you to engage in the upcoming battle," commanded Mito, her tone forceful and unwavering. Without hesitation, she swiftly transformed into the Four Tails form of the Nine Tails, ready to confront Kagitsuchi head-on. With lightning speed, Mito lunged forward, launching a powerful punch toward her opponent. Kagitsuchi, equally swift, utilized his Akotsu technique to meet Mito's attack head-on. The force of the impact was tremendous, and though Kagitsuchi remained steadfast, Mito's right hand was almost completely twisted, and she was hauled several hundred meters away, leaving a trail of destruction in her wake and carving out a massive gully in the ground. Even as Saratobi departed with the others, his attention remained fixated on the fierce clash between Kagitsuchi and Mito, and he continued to observe the battle with rapt attention. The onlookers were struck with a sense of sheer horror as they bore witness to the incredible display of brute strength that Kagitsuchi demonstrated by landing a devastating punch on Mito, overpowering her with apparent ease. Until that moment, many had been under the impression that Kagitsuchi relied solely on his formidable ninjutsu and kenjutsu skills, and had never fathomed the notion that the elderly man could possess the physical strength necessary to engage with a tailed beast, and the Nine Tails no less. Mito rose from the wreckage, her previously injured hand rapidly regenerating before the eyes of the stunned onlookers. In what seemed like a matter of mere moments, her hand had fully healed, leaving no trace of the injury behind. With her body still transformed into the powerful four-tailed form, Mito opened her jaws wide and began to concentrate her chakra, drawing in a tailed beast bomb and swallowing it whole. As she did so, an enormous red beam of energy began to form within her maw, crackling with power and primed for launch. Kagitsuchi, aware of the impending attack, drew his sword and swung it in a mighty arc, generating a massive black shockwave that surged forth toward the incoming beam of light. The two titanic forces met in a blinding flash of energy, unleashing a massive explosion that rent the earth asunder, leaving behind a massive crater that spanned well over 100 meters in diameter. "Both of them are monsters," remarked Kahari Utatane, her voice heavy with awe and trepidation. "Agreed," concurred the head of the Hyuga clan, whose face bore a similar expression of disbelief and apprehension. Indeed, the collective sentiment of the onlookers was unanimous. The sheer magnitude of destruction wrought by the initial clashes between Kagitsuchi and Mito was nothing short of awe-inspiring. As they beheld the incredible spectacle unfolding before them, they could not help but wonder what the full extent of the devastation would be once the two titans fully unleashed their power upon one another. Kagitsuchi stood facing Mito, his senses on high alert. Suddenly, he detected a shift in the ground, and instinctively used Shumpo to disappear from his location. In the blink of an eye, the spot where he had been standing was engulfed in a mass of writhing, red hands belonging to the Nine Tails. Undeterred, Kagitsuchi reappeared in a flash, this time dangerously close to Mito. Pointing a finger at her, he unleashed the had number 44 Pale Multi-Lightning spell. As the spell took effect, bolts of lightning rained down upon Mito's Four Tails form, eliciting a deafening roar from the Nine Tails. Despite the overwhelming power of Kagitsuchi's attack, however, Mito remained steadfast and resolute, bracing herself against the onslaught of lightning, with all the fury and ferocity of a cornered beast. It was clear to all present that this battle between two monsters was far from over, and that the true test of strength was yet to come. Kagitsuchi intently observed as Mito endured the relentless onslaught of thunder, which resulted in a massive explosion of dust that enveloped and obscured everything in sight. Yet, amidst the chaos, a deafening roar reverberated throughout the entire village of Konoha. In a dramatic display of strength, Mito emerged from the billowing cloud of dust, but with a notable difference. 6 tails now extended from her body, and her entire form was enshrouded in otherworldly white bone armor. A ferocious, thunderous roar erupted from the mouth of the nine-tailed fox as it began to gather massive amounts of chakra. The chakra soon coalesced into multiple tail beast bombs, each one more volatile and destructive than the last. As the bombs completed their formation, they began to move with alarming speed in the direction of Kagitsuchi, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. Back at number 81, splitting void with unwavering determination, Kagitsuchi invoked a powerful Bakudo, channeling his spiritual energy to create a formidable transparent barrier before him. The nine-tailed fox unleashed a barrage of multiple tail beast bombs upon the wall, causing a series of thunderous explosions to reverberate throughout the area. However, despite the sheer force of the blasts, Kagitsuchi remained steadfast and unscathed behind his impenetrable defense. By the gods, what kind of impenetrable defense is this? Not even the might of a tail beast bomb can leave a scratch on it, exclaimed the head of the Nara clan in awe. Indeed, I have never beheld anything quite like it in all my years, replied the head of the Akamachi clan in equal amazement. All those present were astounded by Kagitsuchi's unparalleled power and unwavering defense. However, only Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage of Konoha, fully grasped the implications of this display of strength. If Mito knew of his plans, he couldn't even begin to imagine the extent of devastation that could be wrought. The mere thought of it sent a chill down his spine, leaving him with a deep sense of foreboding. In the wake of the bombardment, the transparent barrier dissipated, leaving Kagitsuchi exposed and vulnerable to attack. At that moment, Mito surged forward and delivered a powerful punch aimed squarely at his midsection. However, with a swift and graceful movement, Kagitsuchi employed the Shumpo technique to vanish from sight, reappearing a moment later above the head of the nine-tailed fox. Summoning all his strength, Kagitsuchi unleashed a devastating blow, striking the creature's skull with incredible force. The impact was so intense that it left a massive crater in its wake, shattering the white bone armor that covered the nine-tails head. Your efforts are futile, Mito. You are no match for me, Kagitsuchi declared confidently, his voice echoing through the clearing. I refuse to give up, Mito replied firmly, her voice ringing out with determination. With that declaration, she began to undergo a dramatic transformation, her body convulsing as she underwent a rapid metamorphosis. Within moments, she had grown 2 additional tails, bringing the total to 8. And as her transformation continued, her white bone armor began to spread and envelop her entire body, forming an almost impenetrable exoskeleton. Without warning, a multitude of chakra hands appeared from all directions, converging upon Kagitsuchi with lightning speed. However, the Kagitsuchi was more than ready for the assault, expertly slicing through the hands with his Ryujin Jaka. As the severed appendages fell to the ground, they erupted into flames, their incineration adding to the already intense heat of the battle. The two combatants continued their fierce clash, each one unleashing their most powerful physical attacks with devastating effects. Every blow landed with bone-jarring force, leaving destruction and devastation in their wake. With each passing moment, Mito displayed her incredible prowess and skill, slowly but surely taking Kagitsuchi out of the village of Konoha. As the battle raged on, the once thriving village was reduced to a desolate wasteland of rubble and ruin. The sound of shattering stone and splintering wood echoed throughout the area, a grim testament to the incredible power of the two combatants. Despite the devastation, however, Mito remained resolute, her focus unbroken as she relentlessly pursued her opponent, determined to emerge victorious at any cost. As the long and grueling battle wore on, both Kagitsuchi and Mito found themselves standing face to face, each one struggling to gain the upper hand. Mito knew that she couldn't sustain her transformation into the nine-tailed fox for much longer, as the strain on her body was becoming increasingly unbearable. She knew that she needed to end this fight quickly, if she hoped to emerge victorious. However, as she looked across at her uncle, she couldn't help but feel a sense of disbelief and shock. Despite the intensity of the battle and the toll it had taken on her own body, Kagitsuchi seemed completely unfazed, not even showing the slightest hint of fatigue. Mito was amazed at how someone as old as her uncle could possess such incredible stamina and endurance. While Kagitsuchi himself was not yet exhausted, he knew that time was running out. The effects of the Yamamoto Genryusai template card, which had boosted his power to previously unimaginable levels, were beginning to wear off. With the clock ticking down, Kagitsuchi decided to go all out, unleashing his full power in a final, desperate bid for victory. Let us bring an end to this battle, Mito. Henceforth, I shall fight with all my might, so do not let your guard down. Kagitsuchi's voice was firm and resolute, as he tightened his grip on his Ryujin Jaka, and he said, "Reduce all creation to ash," as Kagitsuchi's words fell, causing a massive surge of flames to engulf him, and the intensity of the heat radiating from the flames was palpable even from Konoha village. Danzo was astonished by the sheer magnitude of the temperature, his expression betraying his disbelief. "I can feel the heat from here. What must be the temperature like where they are fighting?" Homura Mitokado chimed in, affirming Danzo's assessment. "This level of heat is sufficient to incinerate regular civilians, and even Genin-level shinobi. Everyone, make sure to protect yourselves by covering your body with chakra. If you still feel any discomfort, evacuate immediately," advised Sarutobi Hiruzen, taking charge of the situation. He then instructed his subordinates, "Go and check if the heat is causing any damage to the shelters." The group followed Hiruzen's orders and quickly dispersed to take action. The heat was overwhelming, causing a sense of unease and panic to set in among the ninjas. Those who were unable to withstand the heat had already started to evacuate, seeking refuge in cooler locations. Meanwhile, Kagitsuchi had unleashed the full power of his Ryujin Jaka, and the intensity of the flames had only increased, making it even more challenging for Mito to keep up with the pace of the battle. It was clear that Kagitsuchi had surpassed his limits and was fighting with everything he had. Fortress Blaze, a massive, towering wall of searing flames, encircled Mito's nine-tailed form, creating a colossal, fiery sphere that entrapped her within it. A thunderous roar echoed across the surroundings as the outer bone and chakra body of the nine-tailed form were relentlessly burned and restored, causing immense agony to Mito. Despite being imprisoned in the sphere of flame for a minute, she was finally able to break free, but her nine-tailed form appeared visibly distressed and miserable. After experiencing the pain and healing from her injuries, Mito noticed that her size had decreased compared to before. She knew that she couldn't defeat Kagitsuchi in her current state, so she decided to transform into her Nine Tails form. However, in this form, she struggled to control the Nine Tails and remain sane at the same time, which is why she usually avoided using them. In this form, the Nine Tails appeared to be the same, except without any hair or skin, only muscles and bones, with the Nine Tails swinging behind her. Mito launched herself at Kagitsuchi once again, her razor-sharp claws glinting in the dim light of the battlefield. But Kagitsuchi was ready for her, deftly parrying her blows with his expert swordsmanship. The two combatants traded blows, each trying to gain the upper hand, but it seemed that Kagitsuchi was always one step ahead. Suddenly, Kagitsuchi unleashed his next move, Torch, and a massive inferno engulfed the nine-tailed fox. Mito let out a deafening roar as the flames consumed her, causing her immense pain and agony. But even in the face of this pain, Mito continued to lash out at Kagitsuchi, determined to defeat him at all costs. Despite her efforts, Mito was unable to inflict damage on Kagitsuchi with her relentless onslaught. As time passed, the flames showed no signs of extinguishing. Inside the sealed space within Mito, Kurama felt the heat and pain of the inferno as it ravaged his soul. He knew that if the fire continued, he and Mito would perish together. Desperate to save Mito, Kurama made a decision. He called out to her, his voice echoing within her mind. "Mito, if this continues, we will both be burned," he said, his voice filled with urgency. Mito was surprised to hear Kurama's voice, but she was too consumed by her anger to care. "Why do you care?" she shouted back, her voice cracking with pain. "You will be resurrected anyway after some time, so you should be happy." But Kurama knew that there was more at stake than just his resurrection. Mito had been his companion for so long, and he couldn't bear the thought of losing her. "I don't want to die yet, so you release my seal, and I will lend you my strength," he replied with a rough voice. Mito stood there in shock, her eyes wide with surprise as she listened to the words of the nine-tailed fox. Even though he had spoken in a commanding tone, she could sense the deep care and concern that lay behind his words. For a moment, Mito was silent, contemplating what the nine-tailed fox had said. Slowly, Mito nodded her head, acknowledging the truth of Kurama's words. She knew that if they continued to fight in this way, they would both perish, and she didn't want that to happen. Without hesitation, she released the seal that had kept the nine-tailed fox locked inside her for so many years. As she did so, a surge of powerful chakra began to flow through her body, causing her to glow with an otherworldly light. Slowly, Mito began to transform once again, but this time, it was different. Instead of the usual crimson aura that surrounded her, she was now enveloped in a shimmering golden chakra that pulsed with incredible power. As the red flames covering her whole body spread from her body, everything around her was consumed in a blaze of fire. But Mito stood unharmed in the center of the inferno, using the outer layer of chakra to disperse the flames to the ground beneath her feet. Kagitsuchi watched all this. This is the first time in real life he saw the transformation of someone into Nine Tails mode. "This is unexpected," he muttered to himself, raising an eyebrow in surprise. "She can use the Nine Tails mode." Mito's eyes blazed with determination as she unleashed a barrage of 5 powerful tail beast bombs, hurling them toward Kagitsuchi with all her might. The air around them crackled with energy as the bombs streaked through the air, leaving a trail of fiery destruction in their wake. But Kagitsuchi was ready for her attack this time. With incredible speed and precision, he slashed his sword 5 times, each strike connecting with a tail beast bomb and cleaving it in half. The explosions were enormous, sending shockwaves rippling through the earth and shaking the very foundations of Konoha. In the heart of the village, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the other elite jonin had gathered, watching the battle from a distance. They could feel the tremors of the explosions even from where they stood, and they knew that this was a fight unlike any they had ever witnessed before. As the smoke cleared and the dust settled, Mito and Kagitsuchi stood facing each other once again, their eyes locked in a fierce battle of wills. Neither was willing to give an inch, and Mito knew the fate of Konoha depended on the result of this battle. Kahara Utatane's eyes widened in amazement as she watched the battle unfolding before her. She turned to Sarutobi Hiruzen, her voice tinged with awe. "Hiruzen, have you ever seen Mito-sama in this form before?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. This question was in the mind of everyone present here. Hiruzen shook his head, his eyes fixed on Mito and Kagitsuchi's struggle playing out before them. "No," he replied. "I have never seen anything anything like this in my entire life. And even in all my years of studying under the teacher, I have never come across any mention of such a form. Back in number 62, 100 steps fence Kagitsuchi formed a luminous, blue-white rod of energy in his palm, and hurled it towards Mito. Upon impact, the rod split into a multitude of smaller rods, descending upon Mito like a shower and trapping her against the earth, rendering her unable to move. Due to the confined space, evading the attack proved to be a daunting task. Undeterred, Mito summoned 9 adamantine chains infused with chakra from her body, using them to shatter the light rods and liberate herself. With newfound freedom, she quickly transformed into Kurama form, manifesting a colossal, translucent body of 9 tails that enclosed her entirely. As soon as the 9 tails took shape, its majestic form radiated an aura of immense power, causing the very air to tremble. With a fierce determination, it channeled an enormous amount of chakra into the creation of a tailed beast bomb, whose size dwarfed all previous iterations, and whose explosive potential was unmatched. The bomb glowed with an ominous intensity, crackling with raw energy as it hurtled towards Kagitsuchi at a breakneck speed, leaving behind a trail of destruction in its wake. With a terse command of "enough playing, go to sleep," Kagitsuchi's body pulsed with an overwhelming surge of pressure, signaling the seriousness of his intent. In a swift motion, he unleashed a devastating technique known as Flames of Hell. Following Kagitsuchi's fist attack, 5 towering pillars of flame erupted from the ground, completely encircling Mito in her formidable Kurama form. The intense heat generated by the flames was almost unbearable, causing the surrounding area to glow with an orange-red hue. As the tail beast bomb hurtled towards its target with breakneck speed, it was suddenly engulfed by the inferno of fire, disappearing within the scorching blaze of the towering pillars. And that concludes part 4. The story will continue in the next part. If you liked what you watched, let us know by giving us a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell to ensure you don't miss the next part. Have a great day. This is On the Sensei signing off.
Never tell a pack that I never stay running. Sipping on facts, damn, no, I got stacks to the left. Taking bitches straight for another cat.